Hey gamers, if you think you can guess how many blue whales the Washington Monument weighs, and other obscure measurements, then you want to check out How Many What? Let's take a look at how this game plays. In this game, players are going to be giving their best guesses to measurement trivia questions and then trying to guess which answer is the closest. So when you're on the active player, you're going to pick a card from the deck and then you're going to read it, inserting one of the different options here into the question. So I might ask you, how many ants long is the diameter of the Hubble Space Telescope? And then every player who is not the active player will write down their answers and commit them to the center of the table. So we have the hot dog player says 312, the seahorse player says 510, the pineapple player says 466, and then the bus player says 1000. Then all of the players, again not the active player, will vote on which answer they think is the closest. So you might vote on yourself if you think that you got the closest, but depending on what those answers are, you might decide to vote for a different one. So we'll have all these players vote like so. Then the active player will announce the closest answer. So if the answer was 336 ants here, then the hot dog player is the closest. It is whoever is the closest, regardless of if they went over or not. So in this case, only the hot dog player would get points, and they would get 3 points for writing the closest answer, guessing on themselves, and then it's just a bonus point for having done both of those things. If we had done this instead, the hot dog player would still get 3 points, but then the seahorse player would also get 1 point for guessing on the correct answer. Then the active player would pick another option from that same card, which can be helpful as players now have some idea in comparison. So then they might ask how many stop signs long the diameter of the Hubble Space Telescope is, and the same thing, players write their answers and vote, and then we would announce that it is 5.6 stop signs. Players will go until each player has been the active reader once or twice, depending on player count, and the player with the most points wins. Overall, I thought this game was pretty neat. It's really close to Wits and Wagers for me. It's just specifically that all of the answers are going to be some kind of measurement. But I thought that it worked really well for that kind of concept. I think it's a neat kind of trivia where it's not really about knowing for a fact how many blue whales the Washington Monument weighs. Most people aren't going to know that, but it's just about giving your best guess. I also really liked that you're going to do 2 of the options on each card during the round. So after your first guess, if you're like, oh, I was really off on that, you can kind of tailor your second guess in comparison to that first one. And I think that's really cool. That works really well for me. The only thing I didn't love about this game was the scoring. Basically, you get a point if you guess the closest to the answer, and then you get a point if you guess on the correct answer, like which one you think is the closest, vote for that answer. And then you get a bonus point, so you can get up to 3 points if you guessed the closest and vote it for yourself. I just don't see a reason why you would ever not vote for your own answer, because you're already giving your best guess, so why wouldn't you also vote for your answer in the hopes of getting 3 points instead of just 1? So I just thought that it didn't make sense to do the voting, and it would have just made more sense almost to just say whoever's closest gets a point or something like that. The voting felt a little unnecessary because of how that scoring worked. But besides that, and that's kind of a little nitpicky, I do think that the game worked really well for that kind of obscure trivia. I really like that the answers are always those measurements and that you're doing those double answers so you can kind of guess a little bit better on that second one. So I also really like that it has a really small footprint because the box kind of just unfolds into the scoring sheet. Everything is contained in a really small area, so it doesn't take up a large amount of table space, which is really convenient as well. So if you like Wits and Wagers and looking for something with a little bit of smaller footprint and focused more on measurements specifically, then this definitely might be for you. But you can check out my full thoughts on the blog today to decide if this one's up your alley.